Greetings, Planet Stupid, Paul here, and today I'd like to talk to you about fascism. It's a word that's bandied around, but I don't know if people quite know much about what it is, where it come from, how it's maintained. Well, fact check everything I say, of course, as I drive around between jobs here. So it rose in the early 20th century in Italy. Comes from the word fascismo, which is Italian, which means bundle of sticks. Comes from an old Latin word, and their symbol was an axe with a bundle of sticks around it. The idea is that if you've got individual sticks, they're easier to break, but if you bundle them up, you can't break a bundle of sticks, can you? Makes sense, till you realise that we're not sticks, we're human beings anyway. The features of fascism: cult of personality leader that has to be adored, ultra nationalism, often with a sprinkling of myth in there as well. You had the German Reich was all about Aryan race, Christian values, and they chucked in a bit of fucking Wodan and Siegfried and all that in there. Kind of a mythical past that never occurred. Like, for example, Make America Great Again. Well, it was great for a few people. There's a lot of people it wasn't great for. The idea of manifest destiny, that it was God's will that they populate the whole of North America. Kind of bit of mythology. You've got to believe that a hierarchy is a natural order in things. And there's also high militaristic values. Got to have a big, strong army. And what's particularly disturbing about a lot of fascism is you have an in-group and an out-group. The in-group is us. We must be strong. We cannot be diluted. We've got to put the country ahead of ourselves. Individualism is scorned. Any thoughts you have must be of the country, of the state. Everyone else is a bastard. And then you've got the out-group. Now, the out-group, they're the ones that are causing all your problems in life. They might be Jews, blacks, Irish. I mean, you name it. Anyone can be an out-group. And a common in and out group at the moment is white supremacy. And white is an interesting concept because it is a concept. It's a social construct. The definition of what white is actually changes over the years. Take 200 or 300 years ago, even Scandinavians were regarded as swarthy. In Australia, I've seen it change, where in the mid to late 90s, there was a big upswelling against Asian immigration, which in Australia tends to mean people from China, Japan, Korea, those areas of the world. We're being swamped. We're going to be all Asian if you don't keep your guard. But now it's 25, 30 years later, and they're kind of somehow more white. They've been included into the white group, not fully, because there's always caveats around this. But we've got a new out group: the Muslims, the people from Africa coming over, the people from Middle East, and that's what's happening in the UK and America. Now, all this takes a great effort. It's a very unnatural system for people to believe in. So the other thing you need to uphold any sort of fascism is shitloads of propaganda. Because, we bobble around the world, we see things, we meet people, we form our own opinions. We're great learning things, we're wonderful creatures when you think about it. And you'll even find a lot of extreme racists will say things like, oh, I've got one black mate, or I know one family down the road. They're nice as pie, but they're the good ones. Everyone else is fucked. Where are they learning that from? If their own personal experience is telling them that the people they meet are all right, where are they learning that everyone else is not all right? Propaganda. And we live in a dangerous time because back in the day, Goebbels or or the Italian Fascist Party. Powerful means of propaganda they had at their disposal. It's probably no secret why, you know, how fascism has risen in the 20th century with mass media, but they had to rely on maybe, you know, celluloid movies, leaflets, people shouting through paper cones. That's about it. Nowadays, of course, it's different. You've got the internet, which sadly, I think the entire planet stupid became addicted to during the COVID lockdowns that many countries experienced. Conspiracy theories are a complete pipeline into this right-wing fascist way of thinking. Because once you believe a conspiracy theory, once you question what is evidently true, and you support what is evidently false without fact-checking it, they've got you. You'll believe anything they say. So what started off as people questioning vaccines, are they worth it? Is there even a COVID virus in the first place? I've seen that happen with many people. They started off looking at that, they go down the rabbit hole. You can do this with any conspiracy theory, flat earth, ancient aliens. You'll see lurking around in the chat, groypers waiting to snag another victim, drag them further down the rabbit hole, and then they're lost. But it requires a lot of maintenance, this kind of thought. Fascism is notoriously hard to maintain because it goes against all we experience and what makes us human. It goes against our empathy for each other, our compassion for each other. A lot of the propaganda is directed towards reducing this empathy and compassion for other people, describing the other group, the out group, inhuman. They rape our women. They're a plague. They're a flood. They're taking what's yours. An interesting development I'm seeing in America especially is the far right over there. Well, actually, a lot of the world is demonising compassion as woke. It's just woke. In previous incarnation, it was political correctness. I just think it's just not being a dick to people. They will often champion freedom of speech, but only their freedom of speech. How does fascism come to power? This is an interesting one. Well, it's usually born out of times of economic hardship where people are struggling. They try and appear legitimate. They'll form a political party. They'll have mass rallies. They'll start trumping on the they'll start trumping on the mythology bandwagon of times that used to be, that never existed. They'll eventually start getting footholds in power through legitimate means by elections. But there always comes a point. This has been the case with this was the case with Mussolini and Hitler, where when they're on the verge of power, the greatest enemy, according to fascism, is socialism, because it is the individual, and collectivism they don't want. It's the country. So socialism is a big no, and what inevitably happens is you'll see conservative, right of centre politicians siding with the fascists. That'll get them over the line, and once they're over the line, you might think you have rule books, laws, constitutions. They're bits of paper. They are meaningless. They will be ignored, ripped up, reformed, changed. We see Donald Trump's tramping all over the almighty American Constitution. In America, laws in other countries, such as racial vilification laws, will be torn up. And what is now a legalistic avoidance of prosecution, I feel, where people say, I'm not racist, but Islam's a death cult, will no longer have to be said. People won't have to say anymore, I'm not racist, but they say it now because it's illegal to say you're racist and then something. Once that law's gone, then you'll see it really ramp up. And make no mistake, fascism is violent. Every case, the goal is to exterminate, relocate, oppress the other group. Wherever the other group is defined by the charismatic leader. There is no fixed thing. It is a purely social construct. It is inherently violent. How can you withstand this? Man, get off the internet. Get off the internet. Use your brains. If you see something such as Sadiq Khan wants to bring in Sharia law appear suddenly by 1,000 different accounts, it's probably not true. Go and fact check it. You can fact check these things. There's sites like Reuters, reputable news outlets where you can see that he didn't actually say that at all. But what happens is you get these spurious things like migrants eat ducks, people on social media, bot farms. What with a lot of state actors, like I say, maybe probably Russia, who knows, man, don't want to get all conspiratorial, but they're funded by someone, billionaires, Peter Thiel, Tice, Elon Musk. They amplify these barking crazy ideas as just asking questions. And then you'll see other figures start to just ask questions, like Nigel Farage, Tommy Robinson, Katie Hopkins, Pauline Hanson, Donald Trump. And then it gets reported on the news as maybe we should talk about this, and the whole thing becomes completely normalised. I remember a few years ago, quite a few years ago, maybe 15, 20 years ago, not sure, where the leader of the British National Party, Nick Griffin, it was very controversial that he was allowed on to Question Time. He was booed, he was mocked, ridiculed, vilified. 30 years later, you can't get Nigel Farage or Tommy Robinson off your fucking TV, can you? They're everywhere. It's crazy, man. So, educate yourself, fact check things. It's not hard. If you're on the internet, if you're on a phone and you see something, fact check it. Easy. Here's an easy example of fact checking for you. So, when Elon Musk recently did his Sieg Heil salute, people made excuses for it. Oh, he's got autism. But the one that piqued my interest was, no, it wasn't a Nazi salute. It was just a Roman salute. Conjures up images of all the centurions hailing Caesar. Well, you fact check it. There are no contemporary depictions in ancient art anywhere of any Roman soldier or citizen doing that salute. It actually came from probably an 18th century piece of art which depicted it, but more than likely it came from a film, I believe it's 1907. It was a silent version of Ben-Hur, and that depicted the centurions as doing the Roman salute. This was adopted by an early Italy ultra-nationalist, which was then adopted by Mussolini and then Hitler. The Mussolini and the prior nationalist called it the Roman salute. That was when it was invented. It was invented in the earlier 20th century by a fascist. So don't buy it when people are just saying glib things like Roman salute as if that's what the Roman is. No, it was invented by a fascist. Go out in the world. Fascism thrives on disinformation, malinformation. But our own human experiences can combat that. You just have to go out and see the world. If you've got friends that are of some group that is being vilified, don't fall into the trap which a load of people do, which is they're all right but they're the exception. Maybe they're the rule. Maybe they're all like that. Being a cunt is agnostic on where you come from. There's cunts everywhere. There are only a little amount of them though, but it's got nothing to do with religion or colour of skin. But they exist in everything. You just got to be careful, man. Who are you listening to? Who are you listening to? It's time to wake up, Planet Stupid, man. It really is. I'm very worried about all this. Next stage, I guarantee. I feel what's going to happen in the next 5 years in the UK. Reform will probably win power. They'll rip up laws. You'll see the mythology increase. You'll see the propaganda have to increase to squash down people's thoughts and empathy. And it'll collapse eventually, but there's going to be a lot of violence and bloodshed in the meantime and a lot of suffering. So get ahead of the curve. Don't wake up one day and say, my God, what have I done? This isn't what I wanted. Because I'm sorry to tell you, my brothers and sisters, it's exactly what you're asking for at the moment. Peace and love.